the political speech that he was using, which is protected in the First Amendment, was reckless. But believe it or not, lying is not against the law. And if we applied these to everybody, we'd have to build more prisons, Matt. Like it would be outrageous.
Greg Swenson, who is from Republicans Overseas UK. Hi, Greg.
Hello, Matt.
Is this persecution of a political opponent?
He has a point. You might not agree with President Trump on a lot of things, and surely I've been a critic of him in terms of his behavior. But yeah, he has a real point. This is a bit of a one-sided or unequal application of the law, and coming on the backdrop of what looks like election interference in a way, by making these indictments coincidentally, usually the day after there's been a major announcement on the Biden family business, and then the fact that they waited 2 years to appoint a special counsel only when Trump announced he was running for president. So the optics are not good, Matt, and I think the president has a point. He doesn't always deliver it, in a smart way. He's clumsy with his delivery. He's prone to hyperbole. I think he's leading President Biden, but not by a lot. So I think that was a classic Trump exaggeration. But he does have a point.
But what is his point? Because are you saying that it's slightly whataboutery, isn't it? You're indulging there. Yeah. There are other issues, which Hunter Biden's facing and all that. But on the question of whether or not Donald Trump broke the law, right, there does appear to be, as an innocent bystander in all of this, quite a lot of evidence to at least support the idea of that being properly investigated and tested in court.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a stretch. They're using, untested legal arguments, untested legal theory, and using the criminal process in a way for a do-over on the failed impeachment. And that's, I think impeachment was a good idea, the second one. And that's the mechanism that's in place in the Constitution for addressing issues like this, where his behavior was had much to be criticized in it. But that's the method. So we have elections and we have impeachment, but using the courts to basically to prosecute your political opponent, it just doesn't sound right. By the way, if it was clear and obvious to both juries and American voters, then yeah, you can make a case for it. But these indictments are very vague. The only one that maybe has some legs to it is the document indictment, because there are certain things that he did after he was after they'd requested the documents where he didn't cooperate. But other than that, it was reckless for sure. But the Alvin Bragg was probably the worst case, where they've made misdemeanors into felonies, and so it's starting to look like they are just looking for something to get Trump, to use a term that Alvin Bragg campaigned on when he ran for district attorney in New York. So they've been at this for 6 years, 8 years. They beginning with the Russia collusion hoax. They've been trying to get him, and so will one of these indictments actually have a crime in there? Maybe, but they lose credibility when they keep going at this, and I think they're doing a great job at keeping Trump in the headlines and making him the focus. Ultimately, they don't want him to be president, but they surely want him to be the candidate for president. So these indictments are helping him. But I think I think it's quite legitimate to have some questions about, weaponizing the justice system here.
I'll put it to you, Greg, that if this story was about Joe Biden or maybe about Barack Obama, if there was a tape of Joe Biden phoning a Secretary of State and asking them to find 11,780 votes to reverse the outcome of the election, if it was Joe Biden or Barack Obama was found to have what appeared to be a lot of classified documents in a box in his bathroom, without them being declassified, you'd be outraged. Donald Trump would explode with outrage. He wouldn't know what to do with himself if that was the case. This is behaviour. Part of the reason when you say that they don't want him to be president, part of the reason they don't want him to be president is they think that he plays fast and loose with the rules, and the rules have caught up with him.
Yeah, well, look, there's much to criticize about President Trump's behavior, and the way he handled those documents when he was bragging to a reporter or whoever it was, that's reckless, and that's a reason not to vote for him. And I think many conservatives have that view that this is not someone we want to trust with.
Greg, it's not just reckless; it's illegal. There's a reason why these documents are classified in the way that they are. There's a reason why there's rules on how elections are run. That you can't phone someone up and ask them to find votes that don't exist to change the outcome of an election.
That will be interesting to see, and those are election. When you challenge the results of an election, you have to be careful to not break the law, but challenging the results or the outcomes is not illegal. And you saw it with Hillary Clinton when she said Trump was an illegitimate president and that it was due to the Russia collusion, which she fabricated from her campaign. But, Stacey Abrams in 2018, I know that's a bit of whataboutism, but we have to be careful that if we start criminalizing protected political speech, which challenging election is, both Al Gore and George Bush would be guilty from 2000 when they sued each other in Bush v. Gore, challenging the outcome of the results in Florida. And you saw it again when the Democrats have fought election results consistently since then. So, that's something, it's a slippery slope. And I'd hate to see the retribution that you might find if the Republicans have the Department of Justice in 2 years. And Adam Schiff, who lied to Congress and lied to the American people, knowing that he had evidence that the Russia collusion hoax was in fact a hoax. He knew it at the time and still went ahead with the lie. So again, I know it's whataboutism, but if you start criminalizing political speech,
but it's not, Greg, just funny, it's not political speech, is it? In the Georgia case, Donald Trump called a leading Republican official in Georgia and asked them to find votes that didn't exist. He said, there's nothing wrong with saying that you've recalculated. All I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes because we won the state. He was trying to overturn the outcome of the election by finding votes, fake votes. That's not.
Matt, we'll see in that indictment. I mean, it hasn't been announced yet, and I'm sure it will. And if there's something in there where there's an actual crime, but again, the speech that he was, the political speech that he was using, which is protected in the First Amendment, was reckless. But believe it or not, lying is not against the law. And if we applied these to everybody, we'd have to build more prisons, Matt. Like it would be outrageous.
Well, it's a good point. Greg, good to speak to you. Greg Swenson there from Republicans Overseas.